Hey everyone, I'm the Canadian Lad, and we just got the first official trailer for the Hawkeye series coming on Disney Plus November 24th. Now I'm gonna give you 8 new details from the trailer that you may or may not have seen in your first viewing. But let me just make it clear, this is not a detailed breakdown. Neither did I watch this trailer at 0.25x speed yet. This is just me explaining the bits and pieces from the trailer. But first, please spare me exactly 60 seconds to thank today's sponsor, HelloFresh. I like cooking, but often find myself repeatedly making the same meals, which is really unmotivating. But with HelloFresh, literally anyone can cook. The directions are super easy to follow and recipes take around 30 minutes to complete. HelloFresh takes care of the shopping and prep for you. The ingredients are perfectly portioned, so you only use what you need. I found HelloFresh super convenient, especially in the summertime. Over 28 recipes are added weekly, so you can plan meals that work best around your summer schedule. Select meals up to a month in advance, and if you're out of town, you can even change your delivery date or address, which is great if you have an impromptu family vacation at a lake house or cottage. And barbecue season is made easy with tons of grilling recipes from HelloFresh. You don't have to brainstorm what to grill up for long weekends. They've also added desserts and side dishes to their menu, which is amazing. Making desserts is so foreign to me, but something I'd love to learn. And right now, HelloFresh is offering my subscribers up to 16 free meals with a purchase, including free shipping on your first box. So click on my link in the description and use the code LAD16 to take advantage of this awesome deal. Number 1. The last time we saw Clint Burton, aka Hawkeye, was in Avengers Endgame. Now we know that during the 5 years of the blip, he took the mantle of Ronin, went full rogue, and completely took justice into his own hands. Even though he was killing criminals, but in no justice system he's qualified enough to make that ultimate judgment. So of course his actions are gonna have a lot of repercussions, and that is exactly what we're gonna see in this show. Anyway, in this trailer we learned that Kate Bishop, played by Haley Steinfeld, has now taken on the mantle of Ronin. Now after Clint Burton retired in Endgame, there was no more Ronin fighting bad guys, and this might have inspired Kate to put on the mask and impersonate Ronin herself. Although this is not exactly what happened in the comics, but Kate does get inspiration from Hawkeye in the comics and becomes a great archer herself. And the reason of course she was so drawn to Hawkeye was because he's the only Avenger who doesn't have any superpowers. In Avenging Spider-Man number 4, Clint gives Spider-Man a big speech about how he never misses, because missing would be a proof that he doesn't deserve to be with the Avengers. He says, and I quote, "If I miss, I'm just another dude with a bow." Now at the end of that issue, he takes a difficult shot and misses, but without him knowing, Spider-Man places the arrow in its target before Clint arrives on the scene to preserve his confidence. This was amazing character work, but it again goes to show that just another dude with a bow is kind of what Hawkeye is. Number 2. In Black Widow's post-credit scene, we saw how Valentina falsely framed Clint Burton and presented him as the killer of Natasha Romanoff to her sister. So basically, Val manipulated Yelena into thinking Clint is the reason she lost her sister. So presumably Yelena will appear in this show and try to seek revenge. But that's not my detail though. Notice when Val showed Yelena a picture of Clint Burton, he wasn't in his Hawkeye suit. Instead, this picture was taken when he was still operating as Ronin, meaning there were people in the higher society who actually know the real identity of Ronin, and that's why even though he retired as an Avenger, his past will still come back to haunt him. Number 3. When Clint tells his daughter Lila, played by Ava Russo, real-life daughter of Joe Russo, that he has something he has to deal with, but will be home for Christmas. Notice he's wearing an earpiece. Of course all of us noticed it, so it's not a hidden detail, although not all of us may know the reason behind this. This is not a communicator so you could speak to other fellow Avengers. This is a hearing aid, because in the comics, Hawkeye is 80% deaf, as he suffered huge hearing loss through the course of his career, so Marvel is really staying loyal to the source material. It's gonna be exciting to see how Marvel might establish this tragedy though. Well, because we haven't really seen him suffer with his hearing in any of the previous movies, so my bet is on Vormir. He's the only Avenger who survived Vormir and came back, so this huge energy surge while trying to get the Soul Stone might have something to do with his hearing loss. There's a theory that Hulk snap might have something to do with it, but if that was the case, it would also affect Thor, Rhodey, and Scott, so I don't think Marvel would go down that road. Number 4. At one point in the trailer, we see that Kate Bishop comes to rescue Hawkeye, but totally mistimes her landing. Now this group of antagonists are a new addition to the MCU called the tracksuit mafia, and they say the word bro a lot. I mean a lot. Although they're not gonna pose any grave danger, but are definitely gonna cause some problems. Now the leader of this group is called Ivan, who wears a slightly different tracksuit than the rest of them, and I believe this character might be Ivan, the leader of the group in this show, as his outfit and his facial hair both match perfectly with what we see in the comics. Now in a scene earlier, we're made to believe that they're all pointing and aiming their guns at Clint Burton, but I don't think that's the case here. Notice they're all looking and aiming at the floor, not exactly at Clint, meaning this scene takes place after this one. They're probably all aiming at Kate Bishop, who crashed crash landed on the floor. Number 5. We get some quick shots of Hawkeye and Kate Bishop, but notice at one point Clint is in a tux and Kate is wearing an evening gown. Now this is again directly taken from the comics, because in Hawkeye number 2, Clint and Kate attempt to investigate an organization, and for that they both go undercover at a grand opening of a hotel. And that could be exactly what is happening in the show as well, which would explain why they're in such formal outfits. But the most fascinating detail here is if you notice the comic panel where Clint and Kate go inside this hotel, we can see both Kingpin and Madame Mask. So if they're really adapting this version of the comics, which it seems they are, this pretty much guarantees that Vincent D'Onofrio is definitely coming back to reprise his role as Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin. Vincent D'Onofrio has even liked multiple tweets that specifically talk about his possible return. So buckle up lads, we're gonna get Kingpin and Matt Murdock all at the same time. And I know this is not Charlie Cox, but I still believe he's gonna be in No Way Home. Number 6. As I mentioned the character Madame Mask in my previous point, well, she could be the big badass villain in the show, even controlling the tracksuit mafia. This character is played by the great Vera Farmiga. Now it has been officially confirmed that she's playing Eleanor Bishop, mother of Kate Bishop, so the character Madame Mask could be her alter identity. Now this is the only scene where we see her character, but notice his hair just by the edge of the screen. Judging by the color and the curly hair, this is probably Kate Bishop Eleanor is talking to. Number 7. At the beginning of the trailer, we saw Clint attending a Broadway show with his children. It's a musical based on Steve and the rest of the Avengers. We see Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, Loki and Thor, Bruce Banner, and even Dr. Erskine. And upstairs we see a Chitauri, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Iron Man. I love how the MCU celebrates the Avengers inside its universe. It just makes everything much more realistic and adds more weight to a story. Number 8. We see Hawkeye's dog Lucky. Now Lucky was shot and badly injured in the comics while saving Hawkeye, and it seems as though Marvel isn't pulling any punches when it comes to giving us a sweet little creature in every story. We have Morris from Shang-Chi, Sparky from WandaVision, and Crocodile Loki from Loki. There were of course a few more details that I caught in this trailer. For example, this vent that says "Trust a Bro," which basically confirms the introduction of the tracksuit mafia. And this entire car chase scene with bow and arrow is again directly taken from the comics. And yes, I did notice Echo as well. One of the reasons Matt Fraction's Hawkeye run was so popular was because it made Clint a relatable superhero who embraced the fact that he didn't have powers like Iron Man or Captain America. And that's why the opening panel in that comic starts with Clint saying "this looks bad." And I can see like 3 different occasions already where we could hear them say this iconic line. Now I don't want to make a 20 minutes video for a minute-long trailer, so I'm gonna end this video right here without wasting any more time. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video, grab the subscribe button and turn notifications on. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter to get updates about my videos. Till then, I'll see you lads in the next one.
Okay, look, the city's flying. We're fighting an army of robots. And I have a bow and arrow.